Well, 5 people now charged in connection with the death of popular Friends star Matthew Perry. 2 have entered not guilty pleas. Among those charged, 2 doctors, Perry's personal assistant, an acquaintance, and a drug dealer known as the Ketamine Queen. They're accused of providing 20 vials of ketamine to the actor for $50,000 in cash in the weeks before his death. Investigators spotlighting an underground network of drug sellers and suppliers. The U.S. attorney on the case says after Perry's death last October, the 5 charged tried to cover their tracks.
After Mr. Perry died, these defendants tried to cover up what they had done. On October 28th, after reading news reports of Mr. Perry's death, defendant Sonia wrote a text message to defendant Fleming saying, quote, "Delete all our messages." Likewise, after Mr. Perry's death, defendant Placentia falsified medical records and notes to try to make it look like what he was doing was legitimate. It was not.
All right, joining us now, Los Angeles attorney Tre Lovell, who specializes in entertainment law. Tre, thank you so much for weighing in on this story. You know, it's a big one, and 2 of the 5 people charged in connection with Matthew Perry's death have pleaded not guilty, as we mentioned. What hurdles, I'm curious, do prosecutors face in these cases, and what about defense attorneys in these cases as well?
You know, these cases are tough. First of all, you're talking about somebody who overdosed, and we generally hold people accountable for their own actions. You know, Matthew Perry unfortunately did it without any force. He did it under his own volition. And as a result, we're going to hold him accountable for action. So when you try to bring third parties into it, there's always a hurdle. And so they're going, you know, the prosecution, it's not going to be an easy case. You know, the doctor is going to try to defend himself, saying that he acted within the custom practice of the industry. He's going to come up with some medical basis. And there's going to be defenses on behalf of the drug dealers as well. So it's not going to be easy.
So one of the suspects who pleaded not guilty is known as the Ketamine Queen. Prosecutors say her involvement in 2 overdose deaths, including Perry's and a person in 2019, they're allegedly linked to her drug dealing. What sort of message do you think these charges send to drug dealers in general?
You know, and that's the very reason, you know, the authorities focused in on this case. Whenever there's a high-profile death, a high celebrity death of an overdose, it's the government's opportunity to educate the public and to say, hey, you know, you deal drugs, it's not going to be some petty offense. You could be facing life. So they took this opportunity to show the public and potential drug dealers, hey, don't do it, or you're going to face severe penalties, you know, that they go along with it. So I think it's going to do a shot across the bow to a lot of the drug dealers, to doctors as well, who may be overprescribing, who may be pushing the limits. And with the unfortunate death, you know, all good can come out of this in the sense that, you know, we may be able to prevent additional deaths.
So Perry was one of a growing number of patients, and I know you know this, using legal but off-label medical means to treat depression. Do you see any sweeping changes happening to that sector, and how may it impact patients who are doing the same?
You know, it may, you know, because, you know, unfortunately, this is not the only case. This is happening. You know, doctors are getting caught up into the money side of the medical business, overprescribing, and there's a lot more out there than we know. So I would assume that the medical boards and the governing, you know, state agencies are going to clamp down a little bit. There's certainly going to be more scrutiny. There may be some additional protections, you know, when prescribing, maybe additional records required within the medical notes. It probably will trigger, you know, some change, but it will certainly put doctors under a microscope, you know, more than they are now.
Absolutely. We only have about 20 seconds left, but I'm curious, what changes need to happen within the law, Tre, to stop these overdose deaths?
You know, fortunately, you know, the federal government and state agencies have a mandate to go after drug distribution. And the laws are pretty severe. They're sweeping. You don't have to necessarily have intent when you distribute drugs in terms of hurting somebody. Just the fact that you're distributing a controlled substance, even if the person is okay, you can still, you know, face liability and culpability. So the laws are pretty strong. It's just a matter of enforcement. It's a matter of clamping down a lot harder, like they're doing, and seizing the opportunities to really educate the public and exercise deterrence.
Yeah, and we see that happening here. We'll see what the effects will be. Attorney Tre Lovell, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.